Hello everyone, it's the Firefly Simmer here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature expansion pack. Fairies are finally in the Sims 4 after years of people requesting them. I did like this expansion pack, of course. There are a lot of things that could have been better about it. I'm going to start with the negatives and then with the positives. The first negative is the ailments. I don't even like the word ailment. It doesn't run off the tongue very well. Ailment. Anyhow, ailments are basically supernatural illnesses that your sim can get from interacting with fairies, or they can get them randomly. What's annoying about this is that it pops up way too frequently, and we already have regular illnesses in the game such as headaches, fever, coughing, you name it. So why the Sims team felt the need to add supernatural ailments that can not only affect occult sims but also affect regular human sims, like why they did that is just beyond me. It's a very annoying feature that really nobody asked for. There's no way to completely turn it off to where your sims won't get ailments. And the only way to cure them is if you happen to run into a fairy that's skilled that can automatically cure your ailment for you, or if you have like an apothecary table or something. You can also download the cures off the gallery, which I recommend is like a quick and easy way to get rid of the ailments. And yeah, ailments are just like the worst feature to come with this pack. So many simmers have been complaining about it, and it almost completely ruined the pack for me. Alright, the next negative is the luck systems. Yeah, sure, when your sim has good luck, that little shamrock, four-leaf clover, whatever you want to call it, that appears next to their head, it's a pretty cute animation. But other than that, the luck system is just kind of annoying because it's very easy for your sim to get bad luck, which I think is really stupid. And once your sim gets bad luck, that means fires will happen easier on your lot, because if your sim cooks something that requires heat, they're more likely to start a fire if they have bad luck. Like, these are just more challenges and hurdles that simmers didn't ask for. Like, I don't need bad luck or ailments ruining my sim's day. Like, they just get in the way too much. And yeah, the idea of having good luck and bad luck is pretty cool. I just wish that it wouldn't happen so often to where it constantly interrupts my sim's day. The next negative about this pack is that you can only access the new landscape in the debug system. Like, I don't know why they just wouldn't put the new landscape in the build by mode instead of making us go to use the debug cheat to be able to access the new landscape, but that's ridiculous. And I think when it comes to landscaping, they should have really included like some shamrocks and four-leaf clovers, since this pack is kind of based around Ireland. Alright, and for the last negative, as far as the fairy animations go, I think they could have gone a little bit further with that. In The Sims 3, the fairies could do this cute animations called I Can Fly, where like they would just do like a random twirl through the air if you selected that social interaction. They also had this animation where they could make other Sims 5 by like sprinkling fairy dust over them and making them float in the air for a short period of time. Alright, now on to the positives. I think the new foraging skill is pretty cool. The fact that they could practically dig anywhere and find an item, whether it is a fruit or a vegetable or a herb or whatever they're going to find from digging in the ground. And I also just want to point this out about the foraging. In real life, if you were to find a apple or an onion on the ground that was covered in dirt, most people are not going to eat that. Like, most people are not going to eat fruits and vegetables that they find underground covered in dirt. Like, they're just not going to. Of course you could wash them off, but whatever. I also think that it's bizarre that there's an option to eat frogs. Normally the Sims is like environmentally friendly, like animal friendly towards insects and everything. Like, it doesn't give you the option to harm animals or insects. But this expansion pack comes with the option to eat frogs, which I just find that very bizarre. Who in the world wants to eat a frog? Like, is that even healthy for you? Is it even healthy to eat a frog without cooking it? That doesn't make any sense. But in this pack, they made that possible. I'm going to go back to the negatives for a second because there's something that I forgot to mention. That seems to happen a lot with these videos. I'll start off by listing negatives and positives, and then once I start talking about the positives, I remember something negative again that I forgot to mention. Alright, so another negative that I want to point out is I don't like how the fairies need emotions to survive. Like in The Sims 3, it wasn't like that. Fairies just ate like any other normal sim, and they would consume food like every other sim and not need emotions to survive. I guess they were copying that element from Peter Pan or whatever and Tinkerbell. I don't know, but it's just kind of ridiculous because their emotional force can run out pretty quickly, which is pretty annoying. And this means that every time your sim goes to like a vacation rental lot and you have a fairy in your household, you'll basically have to make sure that there is a fairy house on that vacation rental lot so that they don't die within the 3 days of being there because their emotional force is going to run out. Alright, getting back to the positives, I like the way the fairies interact with the plants. They could like cleanse themselves in nature, and all the animations included when they interact with the plants are really cute. I also like how they can manifest seeds and grow these unique looking plants. The next positive is that I really like the build buy mode items that this pack came with. A lot of the furniture, the wallpaper, the decorations. It really fits the whole fairy aesthetic that this pack kind of revolves around. The world of Inniscreen is gorgeous and it's very unique compared to the worlds that we've gotten in other expansion packs. Inniscreen is one of the most unique worlds that we have in The Sims 4 right now. It's got some gorgeous scenery, and there are also a lot of parts in the world that will remind you of Ireland if you've ever been to Ireland. Or even if you just look up pictures of Ireland on Google, there's a lot of places in Inniscreen that will remind you of Ireland. So I think the Sims team did a really good job of making Inniscreen look both mystical to fit the fairy aesthetic and including bits of Ireland in there. I could personally care less about the gnomes. I don't really find gnomes interesting, but the fact that fairies can bring gnomes to life in this pack is pretty cool. Something else I just remembered, this is going back to another negative, is that this would have been the perfect pack to include a fiddle or to include a flute in, because when you think of objects that fairies use, you think of like them playing the flute or the fiddle, something, or the harp, one of those types of instruments. So this would have been a good opportunity for the Sims to include those instruments in this pack, but for whatever reason we didn't get those instruments. And to finish off this review, the last positive thing that I have to say about this pack is I'm glad that after several years we finally have fairies in the game. Like, that is something that has been on my wish list for a long time. That's something that's been on several people's wish lists for a long time, to have fairies in The Sims 4, and I'm glad that they're finally here. The inclusion of fairies alone make this pack worth buying for me. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more Sims content, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.